Hi and welcome to lesson 6 in the family topic. So this is looking at alternatives to the family. So this lesson we're going to look at identifying and explaining how family forms differ around the UK, but also within a global context as well. I'm going to be looking at the key concepts of communes, infanticide, kibbutz and patrilineal families. So as a starter to kind of get you thinking, what alternatives are there to living in a family? So if you don't live with people who you're related to, what other options are there? So again, feel free to work at your own pace, pause, do what works for you. So, obviously not everyone lives with a family. Some people will live on their own. It could be as a couple or with friends. Some move away from home. It could be boarding school or again, higher education like university. Some live on their own with other single people, so it could be in a sheltered or residential accommodation. So that might be older people, for instance. So, according to the statistics, 1 in 3 households contain only one person. So it's quite a high number in comparison to just over 100 years ago, which would have been about 1 in 20. There is this growth in young people living on their own, and there is twice as many men as women living alone in the 25 to 44 category, and twice as many women as men aged 65 and over. So again, if you think about it logically, you could link this into things like relationship breakdowns. It could be life expectancy. It could be that women perhaps in that age category might have children, and if relationships break down, maybe men would live on their own, whereas women would live with children. Obviously not in all cases, but stereotypically. So communes then are one kind of alternative to living in a family. So these are, there's quite a small amount of them in the UK. They are growing in popularity. These would involve shared ownership of property, sharing skills, and sharing responsibilities with other people living in the community. So there are examples of them in terms of people who want to live sustainably, people who want to live a certain lifestyle, finding people that want to live in a similar way. So I've included 2 links that you can have a look at. This PowerPoint is on the shared area, so you can have a look at this, the videos, and it links into some articles of communes in the UK, but also in other countries. So a kibbutz, what's the difference then? So a kibbutz, these were basically established just after the 10th century, last century, and kind of created in Israel. So they looked at providing communal living for individuals that wanted a particular lifestyle, and it was kind of a different lifestyle from the traditional family types. So it then gave women and men the economic freedom to work because children were educated and looked after communally. So again, I have put a clip in here if you did want to have a look at what a kibbutz is like. So the children, basically from the age of about 6 months upwards, lived in children's houses where they ate together, studied and slept. So what would happen is that they were looked after by a rotation of staff, and they would have time with their parents each afternoon. When not working, adults would undertake rotation of different duties, so everyone would be helping out, whether it was in the canteen, laundry, things like that. And it got rid of this idea of a traditional nuclear family as being the best way to raise families. So it was very much in favour of the group rather than your personal family. But by the 1990s, most of them, had abandoned this idea of communally raising children. So maybe have a watch of the video and in your own words try to describe what it is. But also have a think, what would be the benefits of doing it this way? Why don't more families, focus on, the economic side, so working and then having specialists raise the children? So another alternative to families could be house shares. So these are growing in popularity at the moment. So particularly amongst young people, for a variety of reasons, which we'll look at. One could be things like rising property costs. It is exceptionally expensive to purchase a house. So for a lot of young people, buying their own property might be unachievable. So living with other people in a house share is a much more cost-effective way of moving out. There is also the number of people forced to house share well into their 40s, and this has risen again because of rising property costs, rising rental costs. That, you know, if people have relationship breakdowns or are single, it might be a more cost-effective way to live. So between 2009 2014, the number of house shares between kind of people aged 35 to 44 rose by 186%. And, you know, this number of kind of older renters, so 45 to 54, has also gone up by 300%. So it is kind of showing how much more expensive it is to rent and have that have your own space now. So a lot more people are using this as an alternative to living in a family. You also could have a residential home. So these are generally older people who maybe struggle looking after themselves. So this would be where they would have their own room, but maybe have a bit more community spirit, share their day-to-day life with others. So have a little think, what might be the benefits of kind of living in this way? Think of the benefits for the individual, but also maybe for society as well. If you have a look at the advert there, you can see luxury rooms available with ensuite facilities, activities rooms, cinema lounge, therapy room. It does sound quite attractive, if I'm honest. So, I set this as a homework, but if you would like to have a go at it, you could do some research about how family structures are different in different societies. So the three that we're going to focus on in a moment would be Chinese, South Asian and Caribbean. So you might want to look at what are their gender roles like in those types of families, what are their family structures like, and also what would life be like within those types of families. So have a go at completing the task if you want to do a bit of research. So the first one we're going to look at would be Chinese. So globally then, traditionally men would have had more power, but obviously, you know, I think China is becoming more progressive in terms of gender roles. In the past 3 generations, in the past 3 generations will live under one roof, so grandparents, parents and children. Although, again, I think the move towards extended families is kind of, you know, decreasing. I think it's more now about the nuclear family. One child policy obviously was a big thing, so boys were culturally valued, particularly more than females, and there was a lot of female infanticide. So infanticide is the term used, I think it's for death under 2. So a lot of young females, when they were born, obviously were either aborted or killed. So there are quite a lot of girls missing in China because they were deemed as less valued. But this policy was phased out in 2016, and you know, modern China, girls and boys are treated more equally, and there is, you know, a push for equality there. So if we look at South Asian, extended families are very important. Obviously, strong links to grandparents, aunts and uncles. Religion is also a factor on this as well. And over the last 30 years, they are diverse as white families. So in terms of, you have single parent families, extended families, reconstituting families. It's not so much one family type anymore. They also note that changes have affected families in general, such as, you know, there is a much more stronger emphasis on younger families of being a nuclear family. So maybe younger generations are not having grandparents and things living with them maybe as much as older generations would have. And Caribbean. So marriage or cohabitation is important. Households can be headed by either sex, but it is most commonly female. So they are matrifocal. So the woman is generally the figurehead of the family. Caribbean immigrants to the UK also brought the tradition of tightly structured extended families, so living near maybe grandparents, aunts and things like this for family support. So what I would suggest as a kind of revision would be to kind of create a revision resource based on alternatives to the family. So it might be including some key things like what a kibbutz is, a commune is, house shares, residential care, but also how different families might be different depending on where they are in the world. So maybe trying to incorporate some of that. Also might be good to have a go at the following 3 questions. So identify and explain 2 alternatives to living in the family. So again, look at your bullet points, think, right, what could I use as my examples there? Outline 3 reasons why the nuclear family is still important. So again, this is revisiting stuff that we've already done. And outline 1 function of the family according to Marxists. So again, look back. From last year, you would have a big A3 sheet with lots of different sections on it. That would be your functions of the family for Marxism. So please let me know if you have any questions or queries or anything that you're worried about. Okay, thanks so much. Bye.